What's up, y'all? CM, it's your friend Damian Howard here with another Village Talks segment. And today, y'all, we taking it back out west. You understand? The Sacramento area, California, right? With Mentor California. And it's just a really kind of cool dynamic of me going to the National Mentoring Conference and meeting some folks there. And now this is the second interview that I'm having with one of the leaders that is driving this national mentor work with that org in a very major way, particularly here in the state of California. So with that, Marcus, I don't want to give a long, elaborate introduction as far as the podcast and all of that stuff. I got to get out of the way because, brother, I want to give the floor over to you and have you to just introduce yourself to our listening audience today.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Marcus Strother, Executive Director of Mentor California. Very excited to be in space with you today, Damien. Excited to be able to talk about this work. Always excited to talk about young people. And I've been in this work now 28 years. So it'll be 29 years in July. And have spent 22 years before this in public education. So I was a classroom teacher for 8 years, teaching language arts. Was a high school administrator for 9 years and then moved into the district space for 5 years here in Sacramento as director of youth development, running all of the after school, before school programs, any LGBTQ work, and then specifically our boys and girls of color work, which is very near and dear to my heart. And those first 17 years, though, are back home, originally where I'm from, which is Kankakee, Illinois. I love Kankakee. I'm just a kid from Kankakee. That's what a lot of us like to say. Just out here trying to make a difference. So this is exciting times for us. And Mentor California, we're 6 years in, and hoping to be here for another 60 as we continue to do this work across the state.
So when you think of the different affiliate sites of Mentor across different regions, across, I believe, every site is statewide. Am I correct there?
Most of them are statewide, not all. Some of them, like our Mentor Greater Milwaukee, are kind of just focused in the Milwaukee area, but
Understood.
looking to grow into a statewide organization. So hopefully we will see that as time grows out, but not all. Almost there, though.
So when you think of the impetus of Mentor California, talk to us a little bit about that story. Why was it important for Mentor as a national entity to say we want to focus on California? And then now you being in your seat of leadership there, talk to us a little bit about what your experience has been.
Yeah. So Mentor California came to be because one, this idea of being able to support young people is very, very important. And as the national office at the time, David Shapiro, who was our national CEO, a good friend of mine who I had had many conversations with because my wife and I have been doing mentoring for 20 plus years. He spoke up and said, Marcus, we're really thinking about how can we support the 6 million young people that are in the state of California? Do we think this is something that is necessary? Will TA be something that folks will really be interested in? And what I want to say is that there are already very long-standing organizations who have been doing that type of support, like the California Mentoring Partnership. Long Beach has a mentoring coalition. San Francisco Bay Area has a lot of mentoring coalitions within school districts and community. For us, we wanted to make sure that this made sense for people, especially knowing the national I would say gives a little bit of different credibility because of the work that they've done for 30 plus years. So we did a feasibility study around 2019. Folks were very excited about the work, and we said, let's move forward. Now, what we didn't know is that in 2020, there was going to be this thing called a pandemic. But what we did know once that came into play is that young people still needed to be served. Young people still needed to connect. So, of course, e-mentoring became very popular. And that's just kind of where we were in the beginning of this front set of Mentor California. But it is easily transitioned into, of course, tons of in-person space. Opportunities for young folks and for the adults, right? Because that's our biggest body of work is how do we focus on making sure the adults who are going to be in front of our young people have what they need? Because I say this all the time, we are really good at making sure young people have programming, that young people have opportunities to be able to go out and learn. But what we don't realize is that we put not healthy, sometimes not healed adults in front of those babies. And then, young people do what young people do. And then we get triggered and then we're like, oh my goodness. I mean, we have these visceral responses and then we get to win because we're the adult, right? Even though we really need to work on ourselves. So we are trying to, one, come into a space where we're able to say to adults, we see you, we know you matter, we want to make sure you have what you need. And to also say, mentoring is a skill. You don't get to just show up and say, I'm somebody's mentor. Like there's real work that goes into building healthy connections with our young folks.
It was very interesting you speaking a little bit to how you all first surveyed the community to understand that, wow, is this something that people perceive as a need,
Hmm.
especially considering the fact that there are already multiple collective impact movements that have formed in different pockets in California already. Wasn't necessarily mentioned on the recording, but I will call out, especially since I'm wearing the shirt, My Brother's Keeper, right? With the Obama
Hmm.
Foundation. I know that they have some chapters out there in California as well. So when you think of all of these different brewing collective impact spaces that people could be a part of that are vying for people's attention and things of that nature. And now you all coming in with your secret sauce and your own unique nuance. Talk to us about what is that secret sauce, right? What makes you all different and nuanced in a way, whereas to your point, the community say, yeah, there are other people doing very exciting, very important work, other people that are galvanizing folks to come together to be what? That village. But again, what
Hmm.
is it unique about that brand of mentor that's offering value in California?
Yeah, a couple different things that come to mind for me. One is the evidence-based research that we have behind the work that we do, right? So we're coming into this space not just saying, here's what we believe is what young people need, or what works for adults, or what works for organizations to be sustainable mentoring organizations. This is actually research-based practices that we have done a lot of work with. We have an amazing national office that does great work with Mike Geringer and many others on his team to really look into those spaces. So that's been one. Our elements of effective practices is, bar none, the go-to body of work in terms of like, what does this look like to say that we have a sustainable organization that is ready to be able to mentor young people at a high level? I would say the other piece in terms of Mentor California is our convening and trying to really work together to bring. So I appreciate that you lifted up. There are so many different coalitions, and we talked about that. I talked about that a little bit on the front end as well. But what we don't really get people to see is that there's no need for one person or one org to be the big dog. There's 6 million babies in the state of California, right? There's no one organization that's going to be able to do that with fidelity in terms of serving those young people. So as I always try to say when I get in spaces is how do we be strategic fleas? Right? How do we work together in this ecosystem that allows us to be able to serve young people in the proper way? So we've been able to talk to folks and be able to understand if there's a group like a Girls Inc. who is focused on our young women, like let's lift them up in those spaces and not creep into that space unnecessarily. We know that there's experts that can do this work. The Kingmakers of Oakland, right? Who have already developed very high level young men and now women curriculum that is for high school based and middle school based kids. So not only are we looking at the academic piece that Chris Chapman, who spent a lot of times in districts, put together, but now also looking at how do we create these opportunities in community as well, not just the school district, but community. And we can go across the board. Fresno Unified School District, who has an actual department of mentoring. Not many school districts are doing that. And not many districts across the state even knew that was a thing. So that's where Mentor California gets to come into play is we get to say to folks like, did you know about Fresno Unified? Have you heard about Kingmakers of Oakland? Let me tell you about the Hidden Genius Project. Oh, what about Girls Inc? Have you heard of the Kinship Fund? The Dodgers Foundation do amazing work. Have you talked to the Warriors? They do great mentoring support. Have you talked to the Sacramento Kings? So we've been able to create this ecosystem across the state where people are like, oh man, there's a really great way for us to work as a village to be able to get these babies what they need, as opposed to trying to figure this all out by ourselves. So I think that's the other really great kind of secret sauce that we bring to this. And then lastly, I'll just say my team is dope, my board is dope, right? And the work that we do, Nathan Houston, who's our director of impact, spent 18 years in the after school space, has a way of being able to heal the body and the mind of folks when he's talking with them. We typically tell people, Damien, if you come into a workshop with us, make sure you bring Kleenex because we're gonna poke at your heart. We're gonna get you good. Sienna, who is absolutely phenomenal, doing all of our data and back end pieces. We have Freddie, who's our videographer, who does absolutely amazing work. And then, as I stated, our board, I'd put them up against any board in the country
Mm.
when it comes to support and really looking at us and saying, "What do you need? We got you, and we're gonna move forward to make sure y'all move forward, so that Mentor California could be great." One of our board members says all the time, we're a team of really three and a half, right? So three full time, and then we have Freddie, who we have on contract, is our videographer. But he says, this board member, he says all the time, he's like, Marcus, people, Mentor California is like a blowfish. You would think you have a staff of 20
Mm.
that's doing this work. And we're not there. And I don't know that we'll ever be at a staff of 20. We are getting to a place where we want to build our team. But the team we have right now, man, it's incredibly dope. So we're a part of that sauce too, because when you got dope people, you get to go out and do dope work.
So I just want to dive into that a little bit more, just to hear like real stories of impact, like on the field. You talk about the ability to connect folks to the Sacramento Kings, and like, hey, did y'all know that they can give tickets, right, as an incentive for shorties that are doing amazing things, shorties that are even just showing up, that at one point
Hmm.
there was chronic absenteeism, whatever the instance may be. What are just one or two actual stories that come to mind? And because you all were that connector, because you all were that trainer, and you saw this type of change happen with adults doing mentorship.
Yeah. So I'm going to lift up a completely different team that I didn't talk about before, and it's the Golden State Valkyries. So their community team run by Veron, who is Clark, should say her full name because I want y'all to know she's a dope black woman doing really dope work in the Bay. But the Golden State Valkyries immediately grabbed a hold of this idea of mentorship and the importance of this work. And what they also did was they said, we don't want to just celebrate, right? Because typically we have National Mentoring Month. That'll be a very high level month for us. People want to lift up mentoring and be very loud about mentoring during that time. But what they realized was that mentoring needs to happen all year long, right? The Golden State Warriors are also another team that realized this needs to happen all year long.
Mm.
Where the Valkyries went maybe even a step further was they said, how can we, one, lift up young people and bring them to the Valkyrie spaces, let them meet some of the Valkyries players, let them also meet some of the actual team. But how can we bring them into the spaces and let them see these opportunities and see that there is ways for them to be in the WNBA and never play on the court, right? The other thing that they did was we do an event called Mentors Need Love Too,
Mm.
where we're bringing in the adults and saying, let us love on you for a day. Let us have some time with you to be able to really see you grow and connect. And it has just been absolutely beautiful to watch how, from those very early on programs, which are now only 2 years old because they're a very new team, uh, 2K, right? So if you're familiar with NBA 2K,
Yeah.
I'll plug them for a little bit,
Yeah.
right? They have become a partner of ours because of the work with the Golden State Valkyries. And now we have a mentor of the game, right? And we have a mentor of the month. And they're lifting that up. And 2K is getting behind it, empowering that. And now people across, the Bay Area are really trying to step into the space and say, like, how do we lift up our mentors and recognize the space? The second part of this that I'll say, and I want to say our Warriors and Sacramento Kings work and the Los Angeles Clippers have been absolutely phenomenal in also recognizing this space.
It's
The other
amazing.
thing, though, that I will lift up is that we have been able to build a relationship now with Governor Newsom and his Go Serve office and Josh Friday. And in September, in partnership, right, with the Governor's Office of Service, which is run by Josh Friday, Big Brothers Big Sisters of California,
Hmm.
Improve Your Tomorrow, which is another mentoring organization doing work across the state, the YMCA of LA, and the San Francisco Giants.
Hmm.
And we launched what's called the California Men's Service Challenge. And what we are trying to do by the end of this year is recruit 10,000 men who want to be coaches, mentors, and volunteers because we know we're losing our men at a very high rate. And we know that our men don't feel worthy sometimes to step into these spaces. So being able to have the voice of Governor Newsom, and we all know Governor Newsom has a big voice, and he is very honest about everything that he believes in. And having Josh Friday and the California Volunteers and Go Serve work, along with these partners, right? Because I mentioned the founding partners.
Yeah.
But Damien, we now have over 200 other partners who have signed on, like a Project Optimism, which is another mentoring organization, who has signed on to say, we want to get behind this. We have opportunities for men to come into these spaces. We want to make sure we highlight that because men, we need you, right? And your story matters. And we know that you're worth more than just the things that you do for people. You actually do have love that you can share with our young people. So that has been another absolutely phenomenal way of just sharing the power of what has happened over these past 6 years and really bring the idea of mentoring, to the forefront and amplifying it as much as we can.
There's two things that I hope to happen every time I record a segment. Every time I hit record and I start talking, I turn on my thinking cap to say, Damien, I'm looking for ways that people can get inspiration. And I think they got a bunch of that already by just learning of how Mentor California is moving, is synergistically working in partnership with entities from across the state. Marvelous. I believe also, secondly, education has happened, but I want to go a little bit deeper into something that has been kind of triggered in me as you're talking. So, I think locally, of a lot of the smaller mentor organizations that I'm aware of and that I work with in Chicago, oftentimes the complaint is, wow, why we don't get the resources, or wow, we don't get the opportunities. We don't feel like the Chicago Bulls is calling us and grant. And by the way, the Chicago Bulls Foundation is amazing. Again, when I spoke of free tickets, man, I would even call out for me. I wanted to celebrate, like you said, other mentors doing work across the city, and they were like, Damien, we can give you one of the boxes, right? They did it 2 years in a row. Like, amazing to support this work. But sometimes people feel like they're on the out and they don't have access to those type of things. So I just wonder, Marcus, is there any, I'm going to ask my question, but I want to call something else out. A team
Sure.
of 3.5 that feels
Yeah.
like a team of 20. There must be
Hmm.
something in you all's branding and that contractor that you said you all have doing videography and things of that nature that is special as far as how y'all are putting the word out and people are finding out about y'all. So I think there's some learning there. But here's my question. Like, what would you say, right, to those organizations? Is there a coaching that you would offer? Is there a, hey, just keep doing the work, keep making an impact, and people are going to find you? What would you say to those folks that, again, here locally, they want to connect with Chance the Rapper and his work with social works, but they feel like that's not attainable? They want to say, D Rose, can you come to my school? Can you do my thing? But they feel like that's something that's so far beyond what they can conceptually perceive themselves to do and achieve. Any thoughts?
I'll share this. Michael B. Jordan, who just recently won his first Oscar, because I think we may see him back on that stage again. He said something that I think people may have missed. It was very powerful because he said, especially to young folks, especially from the Jersey area where he's from, he said, you may think that the road to where I am is so far away from you that you can't get here. But I'm telling you, after being in these rooms, it's a very short distance. It really isn't that unattainable, right? So you said something around just keep doing the work and people will find you. Yes, and you got to tell people about your work. You got to show your work. You got to push it out there. So as much as you brought up the marketing piece, how often, man, brag about yourself as much as you can. Tag people unnecessarily, right? If it's the NBA Foundation that you want to see you, start tagging them all the time. I'm not telling you it will definitely result in something, but it begins to get people seeing, man, there's somebody trying to get us to see their story. Let me see what's happening. Write articles, right? put them up on Medium, whatever it is that you may have to do. But you have to tell your story. You have to find ways to get on podcasts and talk about this work. You have to find ways to be able to get people to see you not only for just the work that you're doing, but also for the fact that you want to create opportunity for young people and the adults that you are working with. So the work in itself has to be the powerful piece, right? You could have the nice shiny car, but if the engine ain't going well, then we might have a problem. But you do have to have the nice shiny car. And I think people miss that. I lift up, one of my mentors, Dr. Tyrone Bledsoe, with Student African American Brotherhood and brother to brother for high school students. One of the things that was incredibly powerful about the work was that the engine was so smooth, you almost didn't have to have the shiny car. But he also recognized that the marketing of who we are, the conferences, the making sure that he was doing speaking engagements, to making sure that he was lifting up this work however he could was important. And as we like to say, when we step into a room, we're going to own the room. You're going to know that we're there. You're going to understand. If I had to, it could not even be our event. I'm coming in with Mentor California stickers for everybody at the table. Here you go. Oh, y'all part of this event? No, but I just want you, I figured you need a sticker, right? And it's those little things in the marketing piece
Yeah.
that gets people thinking like, well, what is Mentor California? Let me look this up. And it's like, oh man, okay, I understand. So I encourage people to tell your story, right? And we have a phenomenal platform. I try to lift up all of this in these moments because I want to give people the tools. I don't want to just tell you we have a platform and it's great for storytelling. No, I want you to know what it is and that you can also have this platform. It's called Up Metrics. Up
Right.
Metrics, UP Metrics, right? Very phenomenal platform in the sense of it's very, very much like a Salesforce, if that will help people understand what we're talking about. But they do a much better job in terms of understanding that the numbers are great, but it's the life experiences and the stories that are going to really tell you what's happening. So they have created a platform that allows for us to be able to tell our story in a very powerful way.
Mhm.
So I encourage folks to, check out that piece because something that I would say coined years ago, and people know me for is hashtag life data matters.
Mm.
Our young people they have full stories, right? Our adults have whole stories. They are whole human beings with a whole lot of stuff. And at the end of the day, their life data matters.
Mm.
So figure out ways to tell people that stuff. And the storytelling piece is incredibly huge. I think the last thing that I would lift up in this idea of like the education piece is don't be afraid to reach. I have no, you want to get Chance the Rapper?
Hmm.
Then reach out to Chance the Rapper as much as you can.
Mhm.
Tag them, send emails. You have to, you have to almost be, as I would tell people, I'm a stalker for my babies.
Mm.
Damien, you've been in spaces where you may meet I'll just use a brand Nike,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh, Marcus, we love the work that you're doing, man. You contact us if you need anything. We love what you're doing." And I'll say to them, "Please don't say that if you don't mean it, because I'm coming.
Mhm.
I'm a stalker for my babies,
Yeah.
right?" So I think it's important for you to, if you want those pieces, you want the Chicago Bulls, great. The other part is don't always ask for money.
Yeah. Mhm.
That is one of the things that I think, especially in the nonprofit space, as much as we do need and understand the need for funding, currency can look a lot different and be incredibly important in different ways. Don't think the Sacramento Kings, every national January National Mentoring Month, I-5, Golden One Arena, and downtown platforms are all owned by them, their digital screens. During that month, one of the things that they do for us is they highlight National Mentoring Month and put our logo up. So when you're driving down the highway, you see Mentor California, you
Mhm.
see, you know, celebrate National Mentoring Month, Sacramento Kings, Mentor California. Don't think having your logo next to the Golden State Valkyries doesn't mean anything. We
Mhm.
know what that means. We know the power of that. And we appreciate the fact that they are willing to allow us to sit next to them
Mhm.
in certain spaces. That's currency for you because they have a level of credibility that we don't have yet.
Yeah.
But now we're starting to get it because folks are like, "Oh, I've seen y'all done work with the Valkyries," or "Oh, y'all do work with the Warriors." Like, "Oh yeah, Are y'all part of that California Men's Service Challenge? Absolutely. So when Governor Newsom is in a press conference saying Mentor California, that's cha-ching, that's
Yeah.
currency,
That's
right?
good.
So understand that it's not always going to the Bulls for money. It's
Yeah.
going to them saying, can I get tickets? Is there any way? I'll give people this last nugget. One of the things that we do with the NBA that is incredibly powerful and the WNBA is we want young people to understand that they can actually go to the NBA and never have to be a basketball player,
Mm,
but they can still win a ring.
mm.
The Warriors in 2022, because of our partnership, when they won the championship, my championship ring sits right up there,
Now that's what's up.
right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't because of it wasn't lost on me what that meant for them to give that to me, right?
Mm,
Like that was incredibly special. And it also helped me recognize that this is bigger than them just writing us a check. As much as, sure, I get it. You want that.
yeah.
But it is okay for you to create a program that makes sense for them. So what we now do is with the Warriors, we've done it with the Kings, we've done it with the Valkyries, and young people get to go and they get partnered, or I would say matched with an adult in the
Yeah.
workspace, and they get to follow them for a game day.
Mm,
And they get to learn like, oh, you mean I could be an announcer? Do you know that the NBA mascots make six figures?
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Benny the Bull is living nicely.
Man,
For sure.
listen, when I found that out, Damien,
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I thought this, y'all just found some human who was incredibly energetic.
Yeah.
Y'all probably give them like a $500 stipend every game to come do the thing, and
Yeah.
they come do the thing. I didn't know all the back end of it until actually meeting the Sacramento Kings, and they were really the educator for me and how we can do some really great work in community with sport partners. So just being able to introduce that, and then that takes a high level of adult research and work. Because as teachers, you know this as an educator, like we tell young people, be a doctor, lawyer, teacher, police officer, right? But we don't ever stretch our own imagination to be able to say to
Mm,
young people, man, do you know that you could be an ice cream tester?
mm.
When I found out that that was a job and a decent job, I was like, well, I guess every time they do make vanilla ice cream, somebody has to say, like, yeah, this is a good batch.
Yeah.
It tastes like vanilla ice
My
cream.
personal intolerance will be going crazy, but yeah, to your point,
Yeah,
somebody out
absolutely.
there that can thrive
Absolutely.
at that role for sure.
For sure. I'm right there with you with the personal intolerance. So I understand. But that is we try to share this knowledge as much as
I
possible.
love it.
And
And
we
not just
want
sharing
people
the
to,
knowledge, offer the exposure. That's what I'm hearing.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And I mean, I encourage anybody that may see this today, find me, come see me, get on LinkedIn, like let's connect. Cause,
Real
you
talk.
know, you could see the gray. I'm not gonna be one of them old heads that says, hey man, you 70 years old, man. Move on. These young people not trying. I'm not gonna be that guy. I'm gonna be okay saying I did my work.
Yeah,
I got my babies. I'm going to golf.
that's
I'm
what's
gonna go
up.
play pickleball. I'm gonna enjoy my wife, my grandbabies, and call it a day. So I tell people all the time, come get this knowledge because I want to give it to you because our babies are they're gonna need the support. And I want to make sure they got it.
Mm. I love that. So, Marcus, we're at the point in our segment whereas I love to just kind of in our imagination place, give people a magic wand and say, hey, if you can think of all of your workflows, even areas of need and or areas that are already thriving, and if other folks would embrace whatever that model is, right? We could see broader change, broader impact. What are you going to do with the magic wand?
What am I gonna do with the magic wand? Wow, that is it's a magic wand, so I guess I can do what I'm thinking, right?
Yes, sir.
Uh, one, I'm going to think about school systems. That's going to be probably the first place I'm going to go to.
Yeah.
Our teachers are everyday mentors,
Mm.
right? So how are we equipping our teachers? I don't think teacher preparation programs are equipping our teachers and what they need in terms of human connection. I
Mm.
think we really are making sure that they are academically sound and can teach the actual subject as opposed to teaching and supporting young people. We just did a design lab with some young folks about a month ago, and one of them said to me, Damien, she was a middle school student. She said, Strother, you know what? I wish teachers loved us in middle school and high school the way they love us in elementary school. Like
Mm,
I can already tell the difference from my teachers now to my teachers in elementary school. Now, understanding the system is set up in a way where it makes it harder for high school and middle school teachers to love on 120 kids as opposed to just the 30 you may have all day long. So we understand that the systems do create that challenge. But I do think we need to do a better job of making sure our teachers understand human connection. And that is where the mentoring mindset comes in. So
mm,
I think that's incredibly important. I think mentoring should be a part of everybody's line item in their budget. I think mentors should be a natural part of schools. And I think once we can get to that place, we can then allow teachers to really focus on the language arts while still building relationship, but also recognizing that there are other adults in the spaces that can support that work. So that's one of my magic wands. The other piece is that really educating people around nonprofits.
mm,
One, helping people understand that nonprofit is just a tax status. It doesn't mean you have to be broke.
mm, hmm.
I have friends of mine
You as an
right
organization
now,
and also the people working within the nonprofits as the individuals. I got you.
that
I'm with
part.
it. Yeah.
I got people right now who's like, oh man, I'm struggling. And I was like, how much do you pay yourself? Oh,
Yeah.
man, I don't even really pay myself because, I want to make sure program. And I'm like, you out here dying,
Yeah.
right? You out here struggling, stressing, trying to make life happen for young people when life not even happening for you.
Mm,
And one of the things that we don't recognize or that we don't lift up enough, and this is one of my favorite quotes, people, this is another thing people will know me for. A teacher, mentor, coach that is not their own best model is really just a hypocrite with a little bit of dictatorship.
mm,
Young people are looking at us to figure out how to be 20, 30, 40 years old. What does that look like? Right. And I think we have, I know you had one of my founding board members, my sister, who I love, Dr. Tori Wieston Serdon.
oh yeah, she's so
Uh,
dope, bro.
Man, that's what she's one of my founding board members.
Yeah.
Her and I do tons of work together. I love her.
Yeah.
And one of the things that she lifts up all the time is this, this idea of the nonprofit industrial complex and just how we have created these unnecessary harming norms around the nonprofit space. So
Mm,
I think I would love to be able to educate people in a different way around capacity and what it looks like to actually be able to run a healthy, strong nonprofit. There's still going to be bumps in the road and it's going to be difficult, but I think that's another piece that I would lift up as well. I think lastly, Magic Wand is, I want people to understand that at the end of the day, this work is about love.
mm,
I need you to really love young people, not love the idea of young people, but really love young people. I think we often see people use this body of work as a way to maybe easily get connected into different communities because you look great if you say you work with young people. I work with young people. This is what I do. But then when it really comes to actually working with young people, like the moment, something gets hard, you start backing away. Like, oh, that's not the type of work that I want to do. Love is going to always be the way for me. Young people taught me that a long time ago. And we won't have time for the story, but I'll just say there was a situation where young people stood up for me. And when they did stand up for me, they were interviewed later, 2 weeks after all of the stuff had happened, because it was about a 2 week, I would say, protest that they put on. And one young person was asked, like, why did you all do this for Mr. Strother? And he said, there was no way we was going to let y'all take the one person away from us that loves us.
mm,
And I knew then that it would always be the way that I move. And I would always want to teach people that love is going to be the way, even with your team, your staff. I think that's why our staff is so dope. We love each other. We get off of every team meeting. And it's like, all right, man, love you, man. Can't wait. I'll see you next week. Like, have a great weekend. If somebody's sick or something going on, like we're checking in on each other. Can we send you some food? Like it's not just, oh yeah, man, I work with him. Like, no, 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 no. That's my brother. That's my sister. Like they call me boss man, and I tell them all the time, stop doing that. They're like, nah, we're gonna always call you boss man, but we understand. You think we on the same level. We not on the same level, but it's just I want folks to understand that if you're not taking care of each other, like this is why we're here,
Yeah.
right? We can go back to the Muhammad Ali quote. And some people say we don't even know if Muhammad Ali was the actual person that said it, but he's one of my mentors and heroes, so I'm gonna give him credit,
That's what's up.
right?
I was just in
And
Louisville, Kentucky, and all of the yeah, just Ali is propped up in a major way out there in Louisville.
oh, listen, did you go to the Ali Center?
I didn't. I stayed in
Oh,
Gulf Hotel right there by it, but we didn't
you
make
were
it to
right there, yeah.
the yeah.
So Sean Dove, who you heard me talk about in the campaign for Black Male Achievement, we for many of years, and it still happens. I haven't gone back, but um, I was there probably 6, 7 years straight. If you ever get a chance, go to the Rumble Young Man Rumble Conference
Mm,
that happens at the Ali Center, and it's absolutely phenomenal. You know, for a long time, the Champ's brother was still around, so we were able to hear some stories from him, and you know, it is Muhammad Ali said something that stuck with me, and I never thought about it until working in this space. And he always said I was the greatest, and people said, "Do you ever notice he never said I was the greatest boxer? He never
mm.
said I was. He always said I was the greatest." And if you go a little bit deeper into the way he moved in Louisville, and you start to ask about just stories, like his goal in life was to be the greatest human,
Wow.
right? And he was that every Sunday. I could tell you stories because I loved working with the Ali family and with the Ali Center. But every Sunday, if he was in town, like he would go and get all the homeless folks and take them to a restaurant and spend all day with them and just feed them and just talk. And it's hard, you'd be hard pressed to find somebody in Louisville, Kentucky that doesn't have a story about Muhammad Ali and how great he was. But it is that level of love that we need to have for each other. Like, yeah, man, I need you to come do Mentor California work, but I also understand, like, if you sick or if you struggling, like my team know, like, I'm not, I don't need you to work yourself to death. Like, we'll get this work done. I need you to be okay. Right. And then we gotta approach that in the same way with young people. So if I could wave a magic wand, I
Yeah.
would have adults who love other humans and want to make sure that we are bringing up young adults who are going to also be those folks that love other humans. Because unfortunately, and you know this to be true, we have adults in spaces working with young people who, at the end of the day, they just don't like kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and
I'm hearing more principals say that and profess that our issues are centered in adults that don't like kids. I'm hearing more of that than I ever have before. And it's
Mhm.
almost like profound to a level of I just don't get it or I almost don't believe it. But it must be true because so many people are saying it. Like my staff, a bunch of them don't like these kids. I'm like, what? It doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
man. Yeah,
Wow.
man. It's real. It's real.
Wow. So listen, Marcus, this has been a joy. I knew that we were going to get inspiration. I knew that we were going to get education. Yeah, man, by just like the few minutes we spent before I even started hitting record. And there were just so many amazing nuggets. Knowing that you're connected to Tori, I'm just telling you, that's one of the most dope people that I met, on this journey.
Listen,
Like when I was there with her, she was in her music studio and like, yeah, we're literally creating spaces. They tell us what will help them, to feel value, feel
yeah.
seen. And some of us said they want to create some music. And I'm just like, man, just she's doing some amazing things out there
Have
as
you ever
well.
been there in person?
No, bro, no, I see. So
You
here's the
got to get
thing.
there. You got
I'm
to
on.
get there.
I think you're going to be either episode 31 or 32. I forget right now. But I kid you not, I now have 30 plus friends across America that are doing amazing things. And at different points in my travels, or just that will be my trip just to go see them. I want to go and see these faces. I just met with an assistant principal out of a rural spot within South Carolina doing some super innovative stuff with her students and with her charter school that doesn't get the same resources as everybody else. So she has to be innovative. And I'm like, dang,
Hmm.
she's talking. I want to go check that out. So nah, I hear you, bro. Definitely want to get up there to Northern Cal with you too, bro. The one time I went there, I was on Berkeley's campus. I was climbing up them hills and I said, I'm never coming back to this part of Cali ever again. But man, I'll come sit with you, bro. You got some wisdom and I want to soak it all in, bro.
I appreciate that, brother. This has been an amazing conversation. I knew it would be.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you being patient with me as, my travels weren't allowing us to connect as early as possible.
Yeah.
But, we are here now. And just know, man, you have a brother in your pocket. If you ever need me, pull me out. Let's do some work.
Perfect, perfect. Well, guest, my village and Marcus's village, which is now all just collectively woven together as one beautiful community that cares about these young people. This has been an amazing segment. We know you got a lot out of it, and we're gonna go ahead and end it there. All right, peace out.